It was supposed to be a $50 dare. Kiss the grumpy man in the corner. Snap a photo for proof. Run before security caught up. Standard bachelorette chaos, the kind that lived in group chats for years. What Zola Pierce did not know, could not possibly have known, was that the grumpy man in the corner was Seo Yoon Kang, heir to a $5 billion cosmetics empire, the most marriage-hunted bachelor on 3 continents, a man who had not been genuinely surprised by anything in over a decade. She kissed him like the world was ending. Then she ran. 5 days later, Seo Yoon Kang walked into her 3rd-grade classroom, sat in a child-sized chair built for someone half his size, and very quietly began dismantling every certainty she had ever held about her own life. This is the story of one dare, one kiss, and a man who refused to let either of them stay a joke. The plan, as Kiki Adebayo originally explained it, had been simple. 2 bars in the West Village, 1 rooftop on the High Line, 1 karaoke room in Koreatown, stop at the bodega for emergency snacks. Home by 2. That was the plan at 6 o'clock. Dinner had happened first, at a small Italian place in the West Village. The pasta had been excellent. The wine had been generous. Tasha had cried twice over a tiramisu that was admittedly very emotional. Once because the wedding was too close. Once because it was not close enough. Imani had presented Tasha with a leather-bound wedding planner she had personally designed and tabbed in 3 colors. Kiki had presented Tasha with a vibrator the size of a small forearm, wrapped in pink tissue paper. Tasha had cried a 3rd time. A waiter had pretended not to see anything. 3 glasses of Prosecco in. Tasha had announced she did not want to do karaoke. Tasha had wanted to do something she would remember. Tasha had wanted, specifically, to do something the kind of married woman she was about to become would never, ever do again. Kiki had immediately produced her phone. I have an idea. Oh no. It is a very small idea. Kiki, I am only going to say 1 word. Do not say it. Plaza. By 9, the plan had been replaced with an entirely different plan, and the new plan involved a hotel ballroom at the Plaza, 3 borrowed champagne flutes, and the kind of confidence that only existed inside a moving Uber. Kiki twisted around in the front seat to face the bride. Tash, you are getting married in 28 days. You are about to swear off everything fun forever. You will become a wife. You will own a slow cooker. You will have opinions about ottomans. I already have opinions about ottomans. That is exactly the kind of statement that justifies what we are about to do. In the back seat, Imani Walters was reading the New York Times wedding announcements on her phone with the energy of a woman who had not consented to anything. You realize this is trespassing. It is not trespassing. It is attending. Without an invitation. There is a legal distinction. What is the distinction? I do not know yet. I am workshopping it. Zola Pierce, who taught 3rd grade at PS 184 in Sunset Park and had not done a single illegal thing since lifting a Snickers from a corner store in 2003, looked out the window at 5th Avenue and tried to remember how she had agreed to this. The dress was Tasha's. The heels were Kiki's. The lipstick had been applied in a public bathroom by a woman she had never seen before. Somewhere in the last 3 hours, Zola had become a different person, and the new person was very interested to find out what happened next. Kiki was on a roll. The bride needs a wedding crash. It is tradition. It is in the bachelorette bylaws. There are no bachelorette bylaws. There are now. The Uber pulled up to the Plaza. The doorman did not stop them, because 4 well-dressed women walking into the Plaza on a Saturday night looked exactly like 4 well-dressed women walking into the Plaza on a Saturday night. Inside, the Vanderhall Crow wedding reception was in its 2nd hour, 1,100 guests, a 4-tier cake the height of a refrigerator, an orchestra, 3 different bars, the kind of wedding that had a separate Instagram account run by the bride's publicist. The girls did not look out of place. That was the most disorienting part. Tasha had a small clutch and a smile that could pass for old money in dim light. Imani had a doctorate's worth of posture. Kiki was already chatting up a man near the chocolate fountain. Zola moved through the crowd holding a champagne flute she had not paid for, half expecting a tap on the shoulder. The tap did not come. What came instead was Kiki, returning from the chocolate fountain with chocolate on her thumb and a wicked, wicked smile. Zoe, do not turn your head. Do not look, but also definitely look. Which one is it? Northeast corner, black suit, phone in his hand, face like he is calculating taxes in a country he does not live in. Zola looked. He was standing by a window that overlooked the park, half in shadow, the kind of perfectly still that came from people who did not need to perform stillness. He was alone. Whoever he had come with was not currently with him. He did not appear to mind. He was looking at his phone the way other men looked at exits. No. I have not even asked yet. I know what you are going to ask. The answer is no. $50. No. $50 and I pay your half of the Airbnb in the Catskills next month. Kiki. $50, the Airbnb, and I will personally drive you to school every morning for 1 full week. Zola turned to face her best friend, who was holding her chocolate-stained thumb up like a small flag of surrender to mischief. You want me to walk over to that man? A man we do not know, a man we have not been introduced to, a man who looks like he has personally fired entire continents, and you want me to kiss him? On the mouth. On the mouth. For at least 3 seconds. Kiki. Photographic evidence required. Imani had wandered over, drawn by the gravitational pull of a bad decision being formed in real time. What are we doing? Zola is going to kiss that man. Why? For sport. Imani looked at the man. Imani looked at Zola. Imani looked at her own glass of champagne, considered it, finished it. I will be honest. He is the most attractive man I have ever seen at a wedding. I was not invited to. Imani. I am being a witness, not an enabler. There is a difference. Tasha appeared then, holding a piece of cake she had not been offered. What did I miss? Zola is going to kiss the man in the corner. Which corner? Northeast. Tasha looked. Tasha whistled, low and slow. That is a very specific corner. Tash. Zoe, as the bride, as the woman whose entire night you are here for, as your best friend since 7th grade, I am giving you direct orders. Go kiss the man. Zola looked at the 3 of them, the 3 women she loved most in the world, the 3 women who had shown up to her father's funeral, the 3 women who had stayed up the night before her teaching certification exam, drilling her on lesson plans, the 3 women who had carried her, in small ways and large ones, through every chapter of her adult life. The 3 women were grinning at her like demons. Fine. She set her champagne down on a passing tray and started walking. The walk across the ballroom was the longest 40 feet of her life. Somewhere around the midpoint, she stopped feeling her toes. By the time she reached the window, her heart had moved up into her throat and was beating there like a separate, scandalized organism. He looked up. She had thought she would have a script, a line, some kind of opening. Instead, what came out was, "Hi." He blinked. "Hi." His voice was careful, the kind of voice that came from speaking 3 languages and being precise in all of them. "I am going to do something completely insane in about 4 seconds. He set his phone down. He did not respond. He simply looked at her, and the looking felt like being seen for the first time in a long time. And Zola, who had come over to perform a joke, found herself entirely unable to remember what the joke had been. "Could you do me one favor?" "What favor?" "Do not have me arrested." The corner of his mouth moved. It was not a smile. It was the structural beginning of one. Noted. She kissed him. She had not planned to mean it. She had planned to peck the corner of his mouth, pull back, throw a peace sign at Kiki, and sprint for the exit. That was the plan. The plan had been clear, but he turned his head, perhaps by accident, perhaps not. And her mouth landed on his mouth, and her hand had somehow landed on his lapel. And he was so still and so warm, and he smelled like something she did not have a word for. And somewhere in the 3 seconds Kiki had demanded, time stopped behaving like time. When she pulled back, her hand was still on his lapel. She did not say anything. He did not say anything. His phone had slipped from his fingers and was lying face down on the carpet. I have to go. Wait. I am so sorry. What is your... She did not hear the rest. She turned. She ran. She ran like the building was on fire, like she had stolen something, like the rules of physics were going to catch up with her any second. She ran past Kiki, who was screaming with laughter into Imani's shoulder. She ran past the cake. She ran past a confused waiter with a tray of canapes. She ran out of the plaza and into a yellow cab and gave the driver an address in Sunset Park and did not look back. Not once. Not even when the cab turned the corner of 59th Street. Behind her, in the ballroom, Seo Yun Kang stood motionless by the window. His phone was still on the floor. He had forgotten it existed. Monday morning, Zola Pierce stood in front of her third-grade class and explained that the letter Y could sometimes be a vowel. 22 8-year-olds nodded with the gravity of small jurors. Her hands were shaking very slightly. They had not stopped shaking since Saturday. She had not slept. She had not slept Sunday either, except in 20-minute increments interrupted by her brain replaying the kiss in increasingly humiliating detail. Each replay added a new horror. The way she had said hi like a kindergartner. The way her hand had not moved from his lapel. The way her mouth had taken its time. As if her mouth had not received the memo that this was supposed to be a joke. The way he had said, wait. She was going to be fine. She was going to forget about this. She was going to never, under any circumstances, attend another wedding she had not been invited to, and she was going to write Kiki Adebayo a strongly worded letter about peer pressure. A small voice interrupted her spiraling. Miss Pierce. Yes, Jaden. You have not blinked in a long time. Zola blinked. Thank you for the feedback, Jaden. At lunch, she sat in the staff room and refused to look at her phone. Kiki had sent 41 messages between Sunday morning and Monday morning. Imani had sent a thoughtful and measured 9. Tasha had sent a single message at 3 a.m. that just said, "We committed a felony of the heart." Zola ate her sandwich. Zola drank her water. Zola did not look at her phone. Tuesday, she allowed herself to look at her phone. Wednesday, she allowed herself to look at page 6. There was nothing. This was the most surprising thing of all. The Vanderhall Crow wedding had been covered in every society column on 3 continents. The bride wore Vera Wang. The groom wore Tom Ford. The cake had its own profile in Vogue. There was a photo of a senator dancing with a soap opera star. There was a photo of a Saudi prince eating a canapé. There was nothing about a woman in a borrowed dress kissing a stranger in the corner. It was, somehow, both an enormous relief and a small, irrational disappointment, as if she had wanted there to be proof. Thursday afternoon, she was helping a student named Maya tape the spine of a damaged copy of Charlotte's Web when the school's front office called her room. Ms. Pierce, Principal Reyes needs you in her office. Now. Now. In the hallway, Zola tried to think of what she had done. She had not done anything. She had been on time. Her lesson plans were submitted. Her grades were entered. Her stomach knew before her brain did. Principal Reyes' office was small and beige and very normal. There were 3 people inside it. Principal Reyes, a woman in a navy suit Zola did not recognize, and Seo Yun Kang. He was sitting in the visitor's chair. He looked up when she came in. He stood. Zola did not speak. Zola did not move. Zola did not breathe. Principal Reyes gestured at the visitor. Ms. Pierce, this is Mr. Kang. He is the CEO of Soyang Beauty Group. And this is Miss Park, his Director of Community Development. They are here to discuss a partnership with our school. A partnership. A grant. A significant one. How significant? Miss Park named a number. Zola sat down in the chair that had not been offered to her. Principal Reyes continued. Soyang has chosen PS 184 as their flagship U.S. partner school. They are funding our entire arts curriculum for the next 3 years. New supplies, field trips, 2 assistant teachers. The library, why... The question came out before Zola could stop it. She was not looking at Principal Reyes when she asked it. She was looking at him. Mr. Park, very diplomatically. Mr. Kang felt strongly that we were a good fit. Mr. Kang felt strongly. Yes. Mr. Kang has never been to this school. He has visited our website extensively. Extensively. Very extensively. Principal Reyes was looking back and forth between Zola and Seo Yun Kang with the expression of a woman who could not entirely identify what was happening, but was definitely going to talk about it in the staff lounge later. Ms. Pierce, since you are our arts coordinator, Mr. Kang would like to discuss the partnership specifics with you directly. If you have a moment, 20 minutes. I have a class. Mrs. Greco is covering it. Mrs. Greco is in the staff lounge eating a yogurt. Mrs. Greco has been informed. Principal Reyes stood. Ms. Park stood. They both left. Principal Reyes shut the door behind her, with what Zola could only describe as theatrical gentleness. Zola was now alone in an office with Seo Yun Kang. The silence was a physical object. You are out of your mind. Possibly. You bought my school. I funded a grant. The school is not for sale. Do not be cute with me right now, Mr. Kang. Seo Yun, do not. He sat down in the chair he had stood up from. He did not look smug. He did not look triumphant. He looked, if anything, slightly tired, in the way of men who had not slept much either. I needed to find you. You needed... he allowed, choosing the word very carefully, motivated. You could have... I do not know. Hired a detective? I did. What? Within the first hour. She found you within 6. Then why? Because if I had simply appeared on your doorstep, you would have called the police. Justifiably. So you bought my school instead. I funded a grant for an underserved school in a district my company is expanding into. The selection criteria were independent. I did not interfere with the committee. I would not have. They chose PS 184 on its merits. I simply made sure your school was on the list of candidates. That is the same thing. It is not, mathematically, the same thing. It is morally the same thing. He considered this. Morally, it is in a gray area. I accept that. Zola put her face in her hands. Through her fingers. It was a joke. I am aware. It was a $50 dare. From my friend, who is a menace. I am aware of all of these facts. Then why are you here? He did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice had dropped. The way voices dropped when people stopped performing and started telling the truth. Because for 10 seconds, on Saturday night, somebody looked at me like she did not know what my last name was. Do you know how long it has been since that happened to me? She did not answer. Years. Years. That is not my problem. No. It is not. It is mine. I am not asking you to do anything about it. I am not asking you on a date. I am not asking for your number. The grant is unconditional. It is yours and the school's regardless of what you do with this conversation. Then what do you want? He looked at her. I want to be a person you have spoken to twice. Twice. Once on Saturday, and once today. That is all. After this, if you tell me to never come back, I will never come back. I will continue to fund the school. I will never set foot in it again. You have my word. Zola looked at him. The thing she could not get over, the thing that was making her angry in a way she could not entirely organize, was that he meant it. He was not posturing. He was not performing for her. He was a man who had moved a foundation across an ocean to engineer one 20-minute conversation, and he was telling her, with complete sincerity, that he would walk away the second she asked, which meant she had power, which was somehow the most disorienting development of all. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Starting now. She looked at her watch. She set the timer. She made him use every second. He left through the side door of the school. He did not look back. He did not need to look back. He had spent 20 minutes hearing about every reason this could not happen, and the reasons had been good, and he had heard them in the kind of silence that came from a man who was filing each reason away for future consideration. Zola watched him go from the window of the front office. She stayed there until Principal Reyes came back in. Principal Reyes looked at the closed door. Principal Reyes looked at Zola. Principal Reyes looked at the closed door again. Ms. Pierce. Yes, I am not going to ask. Thank you. I am only going to say one thing. Okay, that man owns a Maybach. There is a Maybach in front of our school. There has never been a Maybach in front of our school. I have been here for 22 years. Okay, whatever this is, be careful. I am being careful. I know. Principal Reyes turned and walked back down the hallway. Zola stood at the window until the Maybach pulled away. The car was so quiet she did not hear it leave. She had to look up from her own hands to see that it was already gone. He did not come back the next day. He did not come back the day after that either. He had told her he would walk away if she asked him to walk away. And she had not, in fact, asked him to walk away, but she had also not asked him to stay. And so he did the third thing, which was the thing she had not anticipated, which was to wait. What he did do, in those next 4 weeks, was every single thing he had said he would do. The grant arrived in 3 installments. The first installment paid for a new set of art supplies that filled an entire closet. The second installment paid for the broken auditorium air conditioner that the district had refused to fund for 6 years. The third installment paid for 2 assistant teaching positions that Principal Reyes had been begging for since before Zola was hired. He sent no emails. He sent no flowers. He sent Armayurian on the second Friday a single hand-addressed envelope to PS 184 marked to her attention that contained one item and nothing else. A Polaroid photograph of his phone, lying face down on the carpet of the plaza ballroom, with no caption. Zola laughed out loud in her classroom. 2 students looked up. She put the photograph in her desk drawer and pretended she was laughing at a memo about cafeteria milk. The third week, she went home for her mother's birthday in Atlanta. Her mother, Vanessa Pierce, who had raised 3 children alone and had a 6th sense calibrated for nonsense, took one look at Zola at the dinner table. Who is he? Mama. Who is he, baby? Nobody. You have not made eye contact with the brisket once. I am not hungry. You are never not hungry. Vanessa Pierce poured herself another glass of wine, refilled her daughter's, and waited. Vanessa Pierce had outwaited better than Zola. In the end, Zola told her everything. The plaza, the dare, the kiss, the visit to the school, the Polaroid in the envelope, the grant, the 4 weeks of silence. She told the story in the kitchen, with the dishes still on the counter from her mother's birthday cake. She told it slowly, because she had not told it to anyone else yet. Kiki and Imani and Tasha had been there for the plaza. They had not been there for any of the rest. The rest was a separate country, and Vanessa Pierce was the first person Zola had taken to it. She told her mother about the way the visit to the school had felt, the way she had walked into Principal Reyes' office and her body had known before her brain did. She told her about the Polaroid. She unzipped the front pocket of her bag and put the Polaroid on the kitchen counter so that her mother could see it. Vanessa Pierce looked at the Polaroid. Vanessa Pierce did not pick it up. He sent this. Yes, with no note. No note. What does it mean? I think it means he is still on the floor of the plaza. Vanessa looked at her daughter for a long moment. Lord, this man. I know. Vanessa listened. Vanessa drank her wine. Vanessa, when the story was done, did not speak for a long minute. Baby. What? That man is not playing. I know. That man has never not gotten something he decided he wanted. I know. And he has decided, do you understand me? He has decided, what do I do? Vanessa Pierce looked at her daughter over the rim of her glass. You decide what you want. Then you tell him. Either way. The 4th week, Zola went back to New York. The Polaroid was still in her desk drawer. She took it out. She put it in the front pocket of her bag, where she would have to see it every time she reached for her keys. That weekend, on Saturday afternoon, she texted the number Ms. Park had left with her at the school. "Are you free tonight?" The reply came in under 30 seconds. "Yes." "Where? Tell me where." She thought about it. The Brooklyn Botanic Garden. The bench by the cherry trees. 7. "I will be there." He was already there at 6:30. She had walked past the gate 3 times before she went in. He was on the bench in jeans and a black sweater, looking at his hands. He had no security with him. There was no car waiting. He looked, for the first time since she had met him, like a man who was somebody's son. She sat down 2 feet away from him. "I do not know what I am doing. Neither do I. You are a CEO. That is a job. It is not a personality. It is a personality. It is part of a personality. You bought my school. I funded a grant. Seo Yoon." It was the first time she had said his name. He turned his head when he heard it, the way people turned their heads to a voice they had been waiting for. "I cannot date you." "Okay. I am a 3rd-grade teacher. I make $48,000 a year. I share a bathroom with a roommate named Denise, who has opinions about my shower habits. I have a closet that is half lesson plans and half winter coats. I am not equipped for whatever this is." "Okay." "You are not allowed to keep saying okay. What word would you like instead?" "I do not know." "A real one." He turned to face her on the bench. He set both of his hands on his own knees, like a man who was being careful not to gesture, not to perform, not to do anything that could be misread. "Zola." "Yes." "I have spent the last 4 weeks asking myself why, on Saturday, May the 22nd, in a ballroom of 1,000 people, a stranger walked across a room and changed the chemistry of my central nervous system. I do not have an answer. I am not going to pretend to have an answer. I am 32 years old and I have been engaged twice, and I have not, on either occasion, been able to remember what either of those women smelled like." She did not move. "I am not asking you to date me. I am asking you to let me know you. Slowly. Like a person who has time. I have a lot of resources. I do not have a lot of time, in the sense of patience, in the sense that I have run out of patience for things that are not real. I think you are real. I would like to find out. That is a lot of words for a man who said okay 6 times. I know. You rehearsed that. I did. On the plane. On 3 planes. She laughed. He smiled. It was the first time she had seen him smile, fully, and it changed his face in a way she had not been prepared for, and was going to have to think about later. Slowly. Slowly. I mean it. No grand gestures, no private jets, no deciding to acquire my building. I would never acquire your building. The building's HVAC is non-compliant. I have read the inspection report. You read the inspection report on my building. I needed to know that you were safe. Seo Yoon. I am working on it. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she reached across the 2 feet of bench between them, and she put her hand, palm up, on the bench between them. He looked at her hand. He set his hand in hers. They did not move from the bench until the garden closed. The phone call came at 7 in the morning, 2 weeks later. Zola was making coffee. Denise, her roommate, was in the shower expressing opinions about Zola's shampoo. The phone was unknown number, country code South Korea. And Zola almost did not answer it, because the only thing scarier than a debt collector was a debt collector who had your international number. She answered it. "Hello. Is this Miss Zola Pierce?" The voice on the other end was a woman's voice. Warm. Older. With an accent more pronounced than Seo Yoon's. The kind of accent that had been earned over decades rather than refined. "Yes. Miss Pierce. This is Hee-jin Kang. I am Seo Yoon's mother." Zola put the coffee pot down very carefully on the counter, because she had developed an instinct, in the last few weeks, for knowing when she was about to drop things. "Mrs. Kang." Please. Hyejin. Mrs. Kang. The older woman laughed. The laugh was small and amused and slightly conspiratorial. The laugh of a woman who had not expected to be charmed and had decided, against her own better judgment, to be charmed anyway. I am hosting a small gathering in 2 weeks. In Manhattan. For my birthday. My son has not mentioned it to you, because my son does not mention anything to anyone. Ever. This is one of his charms, and also one of his failings as a child. I am calling you directly because I would like you to come. Mrs. Kang. I am not sure what your son has told you. My son has told me nothing. This is also a charm and a failing. I had to obtain this information from a society columnist who works for the Korean edition of Vogue. Her name is Miran. She is a vulture. She is also extremely accurate. According to Miran, on May the 22nd, my son was observed in a corner of the Plaza Ballroom, kissing a beautiful young woman with extraordinary posture. And according to Miran, on the following Thursday, my son personally diverted a portion of the Soyoung North American Foundation's annual budget to an elementary school in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, where the very same beautiful young woman is employed as a third-grade teacher. Mrs. Kang. I have not been wrong about my son in 32 years. I am not wrong now. Will you come? Zola put her hand over her eyes. Mrs. Kang. The kiss was a dare. From my friend. At a wedding I was not invited to. There was a long silence on the line. Then Hyejin Kang began to laugh. She laughed for what felt like a full minute. Zola, holding the phone away from her ear slightly, stood in her kitchen and listened to her boyfriends. Was he her boyfriend? What was he? Listened to Seo Yoon Kang's mother laugh herself into a small coughing fit 5,000 miles away. When she had recovered, "Oh, my dear. Oh, you must come. You absolutely must come. I insist. I will see you in 2 weeks. Wear something you can sit down in. I will send you the address." The line went dead. Zola stood in her kitchen for a long time. Denise emerged from the shower with a towel on her head. Who was that? My future mother-in-law. What? Make me another coffee. Seo Yoon called her 4 hours later. He had been in a board meeting. He had emerged from the board meeting to 17 missed messages from his mother, and 1 missed call from Zola. He had called Zola first. She called you. She called me. I am going to kill Miran. Who is Miran? A vulture. Yes. I have been briefed. Zola. Please. 1 weekend. Please. Pretend you are my girlfriend. Officially. Publicly. For her benefit. If she believes I am serious about someone, she will stop introducing me to the daughters of her friends, of which there are 7 currently in active rotation. I will owe you for the rest of my life. I will fund every school in your district. I will buy every child a personalized name tag. You are panicking. I am panicking. Yes. She held the phone for a long second. Seo Yoon. Yes. I am not pretending. What? I am not pretending. If I show up at your mother's gala, I am showing up as your girlfriend. Not the fake kind. The kind that requires a definitions conversation that we have not yet had. The line was quiet. Are you saying? I am saying. Zola. Yes. Be my girlfriend. That was very rehearsed. I have had 3 planes worth of practice. Yes. 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 Seo Yoon. Yes. She heard him exhale on the other end of the line, the kind of exhale that came from a man who had not realized he had been holding his breath for several months. 2 weeks later, Zola stood in a hotel suite at the Mandarin Oriental, in a dress that had been couture-tailored to her body in 72 hours by a Korean designer who had refused to charge for her labor when she found out who the dress was for. The dress fit Zola the way the sky fit a horizon line. The shoes had been made to match. The earrings were on loan from the designer's personal collection. Seo Yoon walked into the suite. He stopped walking. He did not speak for a long second. Tell me what you are thinking. I am recalculating. Recalculating what? Every life decision I have ever made. She crossed the suite and adjusted his tie, which did not need adjusting. Behave. I am behaving. Tell me about your mother. He did. He told her everything. The way Hyejin Kang had built the company alongside his father from a single chemist's apartment in Busan. The way she had run it alone, with 2 small sons in tow, after his father's heart attack at 51. The way she had refused to remarry. The way she had handed the CEO position to Seo Yoon 4 years ago, on his 28th birthday, with no warning and no ceremony, by handing him a binder. She is the most formidable person I have ever met. Good. I will be formidable back. When they reached the elevator that led to the rooftop, Seo Yoon stopped. He held the elevator open with one hand. He turned to face her. Before we go in. Yes. You do not have to be anything other than yourself. I want you to know that. I'm not asking you to become a different person for one night. The dress is just a dress. The room is just a room. My mother is just a woman who happens to be my mother. If at any point you want to leave, you tell me and we leave. I do not care about the columnists. I do not care about the investors. I do not care about any of them. Okay. I care about you. Okay. Now, try to look bored. It is the most aristocratic emotion. She laughed. The elevator opened. They stepped in. He took her hand inside the elevator, on the side that the cameras at the top would not see. He did not let go of her hand until the doors opened 60 floors above the city. The gala was a private dinner for 60 in the rooftop ballroom of the Mandarin Oriental. The view of Central Park stretched out below them like a small green country. Hyejin Kang was at the center of the room in a hanbok, the color of pale jade, holding court in 3 languages simultaneously. She saw Zola from across the room. She came over. She took Zola's hands in both of her own. So, the dare. Yes, ma'am. Sit beside me. Tell me everything. Zola sat. Zola told Zola, who was a teacher, was very good at telling stories with the right number of words. She told Hyejin Kang about the bachelorette, about Kiki, about the dress, about the dare, about the kiss, about the running, about the Polaroid, about the bench in the botanic garden. She did not embellish. She did not dramatize. Hyejin Kang listened with the absolute stillness of a woman who had not been told the truth in a long time. When Zola was finished, Hyejin Kang reached for her water glass. She took a long sip. She turned to face Zola. My son has not laughed in 3 years. He laughed twice tonight, from across the room. I heard him. Whatever you are doing, continue. She squeezed Zola's hand once, sharply, the way mothers squeezed. Before the dinner could resume properly, a young woman in a champagne-colored dress crossed the room and stopped at Zola's chair. The young woman smiled with the kind of teeth that had been cared for at length. You must be the new one. I am Zola. Minji. My mother is a friend of Mrs. Kang. We have known Seo Yoon since we were children. I just wanted to introduce myself. Nice to meet you. It is so brave of you to come tonight. Brave. Korean society is a lot. I teach 3rd grade in Brooklyn. I have seen a lot. Minji laughed politely, in the way of women who were calibrating in real time. Minji, very carefully, did not sit down. Minji was about to say something else when Hyejin Kang reappeared at Zola's elbow as if she had never left. Minji, darling, how is your mother? She is well, Mrs. Kang. Tell her I miss her. We must have tea soon. The 3 of us. Yourself, your mother, and Miss Pierce. Miss Pierce is wonderful with mothers. She has been asking me about my late husband. Minji's smile did not change, but something behind the smile did. Of course, Mrs. Kang. Minji floated away. Hyejin Kang sat down beside Zola again. Hyejin Kang did not look at Zola. Hyejin Kang reached for her water glass, took a sip, and spoke without turning her head. There are 6 more of those in this room tonight. Smile when they approach you. Do not flinch. I will handle the rest. Yes, ma'am. I like you. Yes, ma'am. Then she stood up and went to charm a Saudi investor in flawless Arabic. And Zola sat at the table with her heart in a complicated knot. Across the room, Seo Yoon was watching her. She caught his eye. He did not look away. He did not smile. He just looked, the way he had looked at her in the plaza on May the 22nd, when his phone had fallen out of his hand. That night, after the gala, after the photographs, after the goodbyes, after his mother had patted her cheek and called her my dear in front of 3 columnists who would write about it for 3 days, Seo Yoon and Zola went back to his penthouse on the Upper East Side. He closed the door. He did not turn on the lights. Come here. She came. He kissed her. It was not a dare. It was not a performance. It was not for an audience or a mother or a society columnist named Miran. It was a first kiss, in the way that the first one had not been. It went on for a long time. It moved from the door to the couch to the bedroom slowly, the way important things moved, with pauses and small laughter and the kind of attention that came from people who had decided that the other person was not a thing to be rushed. The lights stayed off. The city outside the window glowed silver and amber, and the curtains were not closed, and Seo Yoon kissed her like she was a sentence he had been trying to say for years. In the morning, she woke to the smell of coffee. He was already up. He had made her coffee. He brought it to her in bed. He sat on the edge of the bed and watched her drink it. What? Nothing. What? I am keeping you. Okay. I just wanted to say it out loud. She laughed. He smiled. The phone rang. It was Kiki. Oh God. What? She answered. Kiki was crying. Zoe, I did something. Zoe, oh my God. Zoe. Kiki Adebayo had, in the way of all chaotic agents of human history, meant well. 8 weeks earlier, on the morning after the Vanderhall Crow wedding, Kiki had been hung over in the kitchen of her studio apartment in Bed-Stuy when she had received a text message from a number she did not recognize. Hi, this is Carter Reeves. Page 6. I was at the Vanderhall last night. I noticed your group. Got some great photos. Would love to chat if you have a minute. Carter Reeves had, it turned out, been hired as a freelance photographer for the wedding society coverage. He had taken a photograph of Zola walking across the ballroom, in profile, just before she had kissed Seo Yoon Kang. The photograph was, technically, beautiful. The photograph was also, technically, evidence. Carter Reeves had not used the photograph at the time, because the wedding had been newsworthy in 1,000 other ways, and one Brooklyn teacher in a borrowed dress had not been the angle. He had filed the photograph in a folder on his desktop labeled, Maybe Later. In late June, while reading the financial press, Carter Reeves had noticed a small item. Soyoung Beauty Group, a major Korean conglomerate, had partnered with a Brooklyn elementary school in a multi-million-dollar grant. The grant had been personally authorized by the company's CEO, Seo Yoon Kang. The school's arts coordinator was a third-grade teacher named Zola Pierce. Carter Reeves had opened the folder labeled Maybe Later. Carter Reeves had called Kiki Adebayo. Kiki Adebayo had thought, in her own later admission, that it would be funny. She had pictured a small item, a teasing 2-paragraph thing in a gossip column, a wink, a something her best friend, who was on date number 3 with a billionaire who was clearly out of his mind for her, could laugh about over brunch. Kiki Adebayo had not anticipated the headline, Cosmetics Air Played for a Fool, Brooklyn Teacher's Bachelorette Dare Becomes Year-Long Obsession. The article ran on Sunday morning. By Sunday afternoon, the photograph was on 3 continents. By Monday morning, the story had been picked up by the Korean press. By Monday afternoon, Sohyang's stock had dropped 2%. By Tuesday, a Korean morning show had run a 6-minute segment dissecting the kiss frame by frame. The article quoted Carter Reeves, source, who was anonymous, who was Kiki, who had given quotes she had thought were affectionate, that read, in print, as devastating. She had no idea who he was. She was dared, for $50. She thought it was a joke. She still thinks it was a joke. By Tuesday morning, the Page 6 article had its own follow-up. A Korean reporter had doorstopped Mrs. Hee-jin Kang outside her Seoul office. Mrs. Kang, did you know your son was being deceived? Mrs. Kang had not been deceived. Mrs. Kang knew everything. Mrs. Kang had laughed about it over dinner with Zola only 3 nights earlier. Mrs. Kang did not give the reporter the satisfaction of an answer. Mrs. Kang walked into her office and called her son. You did not tell me everything. Mother, I told you. You told me a romance. You did not tell me there was a journalist involved. There was not a journalist involved. There is now. Mother, get on a plane. In Brooklyn. Zola was at her kitchen table at 6:30 in the morning, looking at her phone, looking at the headline, looking at the photograph of her own face on the Korean news, looking at Kiki on the call who was sobbing. Zoe, I am so sorry, Zoe. I am the worst friend who has ever existed. Zoe. Zola hung up the phone. She walked to the bathroom. She threw up. She brushed her teeth. She washed her face. Seo-yoon called. She did not answer. He called again. She did not answer. He called a 3rd time. She turned the phone off. She got dressed for school. She went to school. She taught her class. She taught the letter Y. She graded a stack of book reports. She ate her sandwich. Principal Reyes asked her to come into her office at noon. Zola. I know. There are reporters outside. I know. Parents have called. Some are concerned. Some are supportive. The district is asking questions. I will resign. I have not asked you to resign. I will resign anyway. Zola. Principal Reyes. I cannot have my students and parents reading about me on page 6. I cannot have those reporters outside this building. I cannot have my class on the news. Sit down. Zola sat down. Principal Reyes folded her hands. I have been a principal for 22 years. I have seen many things. I have not, until today, seen a member of my staff become a tabloid story. I am not going to pretend I have a playbook for this. But I will tell you what I have noticed in the last 6 weeks. What? I have noticed that the children in your class come back from spring break and they ask if you are okay. I have noticed that the parents at conferences ask for you specifically. I have noticed that you have been at this school for 4 years and you have not once raised your voice. Not once. I noticed things. Zola. 22 years. I am not accepting your resignation. I am taking you off the front entrance during pickup for 2 weeks. We will use the side door. The reporters will get bored. They always get bored. Mrs. Reyes. Go finish your day. Go home. Sleep. Whatever you decide about your personal life is your business. It is not mine. I am not in the business of telling grown women who to love or not love. I am in the business of teaching children. Zola went home. She turned her phone back on. There were 173 missed messages. She did not read them. She scrolled to Seo-yoon's name. She typed, I need time, please. She turned the phone off again. She did not turn it back on for 3 days. On the 2nd night, Kiki came to the door. Zola did not answer. Kiki sat on the hallway floor outside the apartment for an hour and a half. Zola could hear her through the door, not crying anymore. Just there, the sound of a person sitting on a floor and refusing to leave. At some point, Zola sat down on the inside of the door, with her back against it, so that they were back to back through 3 inches of wood and steel. Zoe, I cannot do this right now, Kai. I know. I am not okay. I know. I do not know how to look at you right now. I know. I am not saying never. I know. Go home. Okay. There was a long pause. Then, through the door. Zoe, I love you. I am sorry. I'm going to say it as many times as you need me to say it, for as long as you need me to say it. And I am not going to ask you to forgive me until you are ready. And if you are never ready, that is a fair outcome, and I will love you for the rest of my life either way. Zola did not answer. She did not have to. Kiki understood the silence. Kiki stood up. Kiki walked down the hallway. Zola listened to the door of the elevator close. She put her forehead on her knees and she stayed there for a long time. On the fourth day, Zola was sitting on her bed grading worksheets when there was a knock on the front door of her apartment. Denise opened it. Denise made a small noise. "Zoe, there is a man here. Tell him to go away. Zoe, there is a man here with a backpack of school supplies." Zola came out of her bedroom. Seo Yoon was standing in the doorway. He was in jeans and a t-shirt. He had not shaved. He looked like a man who had not slept in 4 days, which was accurate, because he had not slept in 4 days. He was holding a black backpack in one hand and a manila folder in the other. "I will go in 2 minutes if you ask me to." She did not ask him to. Denise, with the discretion of a woman who knew when to evacuate, picked up her purse and waved at the air around her. "What thing?" "A thing. Goodbye." Denise left. Zola and Seo Yoon stood in the small living room with the IKEA couch and the second-hand coffee table and the framed print of Audre Lorde over the radiator. "Sit." He sat. The couch was too small for him. He set the backpack on the floor. He set the folder on the coffee table. "I am not here to ask you for anything." "Okay. I am here to tell you what I have done in the last 72 hours. And then I am here to leave the choice to you. Whatever the choice is." "Okay." He opened the folder. 1. I have expanded the Soyoung Foundation's commitment to PS 184 by 10 times. This is irrevocable. It is in writing. It is filed with the district. It is not contingent on us. It is not contingent on anything. If you never speak to me again, the school receives 10 times what was promised, for the next 10 years. Seo Yoon. I am not finished. Okay. 2. I have given an interview. To the Korean press. It will run tomorrow. In the interview, I tell the entire story. The dare, the kiss, the school, the bench, the gala, my mother, all of it. I do not protect myself. I do not spin it. I tell them I am 32 years old, and I have spent 32 years afraid of what people would think, and that for 10 seconds, on May the 22nd, somebody looked at me like I was a person, and I decided that day that I was not going to be afraid anymore. I will read it to you if you like. No. 3. I called my mother. I told her everything. The dare. The fake girlfriend. The plan. All of it. Zola put her hand over her mouth. What did she say? He almost smiled. She said that I had spent 32 years afraid of what people would think, and that this was the first time she had seen me not afraid, and that I should marry you. Seo Yoon. 4. He set the folder down. He reached into the backpack. He took out a notebook. He took out a small box. He got down on one knee, in the small living room, in front of the print of Audre Lorde over the radiator. I am not doing this because of the article. I am not doing this because of my mother. I am not doing this because of pressure or panic, or because the world is watching. I am doing this because I have known, since May the 22nd, that I was going to do it eventually, and I would rather do it badly in a Brooklyn apartment than perfectly in a place that does not matter. He opened the box. The ring was simple, a small round diamond, an old setting, not flashy. The kind of ring a person could wear to teach 3rd grade. It was my grandmother's, my father's mother. She gave it to me when I was 9, before she died. She told me to give it to the person who looked at me like I was a person and not a name. I do not want to be your dare. I want to be your default. Marry me. Zola did not speak for a long second. Then she sat down on the floor in front of him, so that they were eye to eye, and she put both of her hands on his face. Yes, 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 Seo Yoon, yes. He did not stand up. He sat down on the floor with her. He put his forehead against hers. They stayed there for a while. The ring fit. Of course it did. Hyejin Kang had measured Zola's ring finger at the gala without Zola noticing. Later that night, after he had gone back to his hotel because she had told him she needed to sleep in her own bed once more before her life turned into something else entirely, Zola sat at her kitchen table and made 3 phone calls. The first was to Vanessa Pierce, who answered on the second ring, in the careful voice mothers used when they were already half anticipating the news. "Mama, baby." He asked me, "I know. You know. Hyejin called me yesterday. We have been on the phone every day this week, baby. I have liked her since the first hello. Mama, come home Sunday. I am making a brisket." The second call was to Kiki, who answered before the first ring finished, and who began crying before Zola could speak. Zola did not say anything for the first 20 seconds. She let Kiki cry. Kiki had needed to cry. "Ki, I do not deserve to know. I am telling you anyway. Zo." "Yes," I said yes. "And you are going to be there. We are going to figure out the rest." The third call was to Principal Reyes, at home, at almost 11 at night, which Zola had never done before. Principal Reyes answered. Zola told her. Principal Reyes was quiet for a long second. "Miss Nods Pierce, yes, you will not be resigning." "No, ma'am." "Good. The third graders need you. So do I." Hyejin Kang arrived in New York on Friday afternoon. She did not call ahead. She did not text. She got in a black car at JFK, gave the driver the address of Zola's apartment in Sunset Park, and was knocking on the front door of a fifth-floor walk-up by 5:30 in the evening, holding a small box wrapped in furoshiki cloth. Zola opened the door. Hyejin Kang did not wait to be invited in. "I have come to meet your mother." "My mother is in Atlanta." "I am aware. I have a ticket. We leave in 3 hours. I have one for you also, if you would like to come." "You do not have to. I will go alone if necessary. But I have decided that the women in this family are going to know each other properly before the wedding, and I am too old to wait for everyone to schedule it." Zola did not speak for a long second. Then she stepped aside. "Come in. I have to pack." Hyejin Kang smiled the smile of women who had not, in their lifetime, been told no by very many people, and who were grateful, on the occasions when somebody might have, that this person did not. The wedding was the following May. There were 2 ceremonies. The first was at City Hall, in Lower Manhattan, on a Tuesday morning, with Vanessa Pierce, Hyejin Kang, Kiki Adebayo, Imani Walters, Tasha Green and her husband, Denise, Mr. Park, Principal Reyes, and 4 of Zola's students, who had been excused from school as the official ring-bearers and who took the responsibility very seriously, in the way that 8-year-olds with one important job in life took responsibility. The second ceremony was in Seoul, 6 weeks later, in a private garden outside the city, with 300 guests, 2 languages, and a hanbok the color of pale jade that had once belonged to Hyejin Kang. Vanessa Pierce, who had never been to Asia, cried for 14 consecutive hours and refused to be apologetic about it. Kiki Adebayo, who had been forgiven slowly and on conditions, was Zola's maid of honor. The conditions had included one very long apology, 3 months of unsolicited acts of service, and a notarized written promise to never speak to a journalist again under any circumstances. Kiki had signed all 3 pages with a comically large signature. She had cried at the rehearsal dinner. She had given a toast at the reception that had made even Hyejin Kang laugh, which Seo Yoon had not seen happen in his lifetime. Carter Reeves had not been invited. Miran had been invited. Miran had behaved. Mr. Park, who had been Seo Yoon's chief of staff for 9 years and had been the one who first ran the detective search at 1 a.m. the night of the plaza, walked Zola down the aisle at the Seoul ceremony in place of her father. He had asked, very formally, 2 months earlier, with both hands holding a small folder of his own. He had presented the request as an honor he did not deserve. Vanessa Pierce, on the bride's other side, had walked with her arm tucked through his. The 3 of them had moved very slowly down the garden path, because Vanessa Pierce had refused to be hurried on the most important day of her daughter's life. And Mr. Park, who had spent 9 years rushing for a Kang, had been more than willing to walk slowly for one. 6 months after the wedding, in November, Zola sat on the floor of the nursery in the new apartment they had bought in Park Slope, sorting through a box of small clothes Hyejin Kang had sent from Seoul. Her belly was a soft, round thing now, and she rested one hand on it, absent-mindedly, while she folded the small clothes. Seo Yoon came into the nursery in his socks. He sat down on the floor next to her. "What is this one?" "Your mother sent it." "It is the size of a sandwich." "Babies are the size of sandwiches. Seo Yoon, this is established. I am 33 years old. I have never held a baby. You will figure it out. Will I? Your mother believes in you. My mother believed in me about you. And look how that turned out. Are you complaining? I am not complaining." He leaned his head against her shoulder. He put his hand on top of her hand, on top of her belly. After a minute, he spoke something quietly to the belly in Korean, low, careful, in the voice he used when he was telling the truth. "What did you tell her?" "I told her she was the second best surprise of my life. Who is the first?" "Her mother." Zola laughed. She put her head on top of his. The sun was going down over Brooklyn. The room smelled like the cedar shavings of a small dresser they had assembled together over a weekend in October. Seo Yoon had read the instructions in Korean, English, and Spanish, and had still managed to put one drawer in upside down, and Zola had teased him about it for 3 days. Outside, somewhere in the city, a yellow cab was turning the corner of 59th Street, and a woman in a borrowed dress was running into the night, and a man by a window was watching his phone fall to the carpet and forgetting it existed. Inside, in the nursery, with the cedar and the small clothes and the soft round belly and the very last of the afternoon sun, the future leaned against the past, and the past leaned back, and neither of them said anything for a long, peaceful while. One dare, one kiss, one whole life he had not known he had been waiting for. If this story moved you, stay for the next one.